She knelt by the anthill, her tears dropping to the floor as the whole ground began to shake. Suddenly, the anthill cracked open and a swarm of red ants began to pour out. The ants did not move wildly like other ants. They moved in perfect formation, like soldiers marching under command. The neighbors gathered in fear as the ants marched into Madame Chi and her daughter's hut. They were all asleep when the ants entered and began to crawl up their entire body. They tried to run, but every path they took was blocked by another wave of furious ants. Their cries for mercy tore through the village as they begged the villagers to save them. "Save us! Somebody save us!" They screamed, but no one dared to go near their hut, for the people knew that this was no ordinary ant. It was judgment, and no one dared to interfere with it. By dawn, Madame Chi and her daughter's swollen bodies were found outside their hut, their faces frozen in expressions of terror, their eyes wide and lifeless. The villagers trembled in terror as they tried to understand what was happening. Then, as if the earth itself wanted to bring light after darkness, a figure stepped forward from the edge of the gathering. A woman, cloaked in fine silk, her eyes glowing with strange wisdom, cradled a child against her chest. The villagers gasped, their mouths falling open as they watched her approach Olanna, who staggered to her feet as she whispered her son's name. "Chiemeka." The woman nodded gently as she revealed to Olamma that her son did not die. "My name is Efere, the priestess of the neighboring village. On the night when they buried your son, I was passing through the bushes when I saw your wicked mother-in-law and her daughters digging the earth. I watched as they lowered your baby into the shallow earth and covered it. I could not allow such wickedness happen, so I dug him up and carried him to my house, where I kept him safe till this time." The villagers opened their eyes in shock. Some covered their mouths in shame, remembering how they had mocked Olanna when she cried and clawed at the earth. Efere raised her voice as she continued to speak. "But I didn't stop there. I called upon the gods of the earth and gave judgment into the hands of the ants. For what is buried unjustly must return, and those who mock the innocent will taste the bitterness of their own cruelty." She pointed at the swollen corpses of Madame Chi and her daughters. "This is the fruit of their hands. They sowed death, and so they harvested death." Olanna fell to her knees, tears flowing freely as she stretched her arms to take her son. She pressed him tightly against her heart as tears of joy poured down her eyes. The villagers, ashamed of what they had done, began to apologize for all that they did to her. Olanna rose, her face streaked with tears, as she began to speak to the people, saying, "The earth has fought for me. My son lives, and the wicked are no more. Let this be a lesson to Umagu. Never again shall a woman be despised for the sins of her mother. Never again shall an innocent child be punished for a sin that they did not commit," she said as she thanked the priestess for saving her child. From that day on, the anthill stood as a reminder of justice. No one touched it, for they believed the spirit of vengeance had risen through it. Olanna, however, took over the entire compound. She raised her son in peace as the people learned their lessons not to jump into conclusions. The lesson to be learned from this story is that wickedness never goes unpunished. What Madame Chi and her daughters thought they had buried in secret, the earth itself refused to keep hidden. Their cruelty was exposed, and their own evil became the pit that they fell into. The story also teaches us that innocence always finds a defender. Though Olanna was mocked, shamed, and left alone, the ants became the soldiers of justice, showing that even the smallest of creatures can bring down the proud when heaven gives the command. The villagers too learned their lesson, that it is dangerous to believe lies and join in mocking the afflicted. They realized that a mother's cry reaches farther than human ears, and when a wronged mother calls for justice, the heavens do not sleep. I hope you enjoyed the story.